Hello there. My name is Corinda Peterson. This presentation will go over the effects of physical activity associated with depression, a comparison between a low and high quality source. I will first go over the lowest quality study. The purpose of this study was to see if physical activity moderates the association between nicotine dependence and depression among U.S. smokers. The study design involved participants that were interviewed at home and in mobile examination centers. Nicotine dependence questions were also taken. PHQ-9 was given to measure depression, and accelerometers were worn for 7 days to measure physical activity. The study findings found that those with nicotine dependence that had less than 310 minutes per day of physical activity were 2.3 times more likely to be depressed, and those with nicotine dependence with more than 310 minutes per day of physical activity were not linked to depression. The next study is the highest quality study. The purpose of this study was to see if there was a relationship between depression and physical activity in adolescents and emerging adults, and how it varies between genders. The study design involved a random sample from 80 high schools and 52 middle schools. There were questionnaires used to measure depressive symptoms and physical activity. 30,000 students followed up as emerging adults to participate in the longitudinal study. The findings found that depression and physical activity was found to decrease from adolescents to emerging adults, and males were found to have a more gradual decrease of depression over time. There were both positive and negative aspects concerning the internal validity of the low-quality study. The positive aspects included testing not being repeated, and participants were selected by a multi-stage probability design that included non-institutionalized U.S. civilians. There were more negative aspects, though. There was not a control group. The smoking questions asked in the home interviews had different interviewers. Close to 50% of the participants were not included in the study due to insufficient accelerometry data, which could have possibly been due to the accelerometer not working correctly. Here is a chart comparing the positive and negative factors of the internal validity for the low-quality study. There were also positive and negative aspects concerning the external validity of the low-quality study. The positive aspects included choosing participants by a complex multi-stage probability design. There were not multiple treatments or interventions, and there was not any type of pretest. The negative aspect was that subjects knew they were participants in the study, which could have led them to react differently had they not known. Now to show the internal validity of the high-quality study. The positive points were that the same tests were used for all of the participants measuring both depression and physical activity. The longitudinal study began with adolescents aged 15 and followed them when they were emerging adults at 28. The tests were similar but were repeated after 13 years versus a short period of time. The selection was randomized from middle schools and high schools across the United States. The negative points was that about 12% were not included in the study, and there was no control group. Here is a chart comparing the positive and negative factors of the internal validity for the high-quality study. There were positive and negative points for the external validity of the high-quality study as well. Some positive points were that participants were chosen through randomization, they did not receive any type of pretest, and they did not use multiple treatments or interventions. The negative point was that 27,000 participants were chosen from 90,000 to partake in an at-home interview, which meant they knew they were included in the study and could have led them to react differently had they not known. There are some suggestions for the low-quality study. A suggestion would be to provide a more accurate accelerometer or instrument similar to provide better results. Another suggestion is to provide an at-home questionnaire instead of at-home interviews to make sure that each participant received the same treatment. Here are the sources used from both studies. Thanks for listening.